So the first question, usually when I talk about this, is why don't resolutions work? And there's a couple of reasons why resolutions are not the direction you want to go in. Number one, when it comes to resolutions, you often aren't, or none of us, not even you specifically, but we often aren't realistic. And so there's this wonderful meme. I'm sure it'll come back around right now, where it's a woman and she's stepping away. I think you just see her legs, her long legs, and I think she's in high heels. You see her stepping away from this looks like a garbage dump or whatever, and it has the current year in it, and then her stepping in beautiful, shining, glowing, whatever, into this next year. And of course it has the number of the next year. In this case, as of this recording, is 2024. I see that meme every single year. And it's just like, there's not some magical thing that's going to happen when you cross over. It's not the Chronicles of Narnia. There's no mirror that you're going to go through, and suddenly everything's beautiful, and you're a millionaire, and you're a perfect spouse, or you find your perfect spouse, and you're a great parent, and your job is blowing up. Like, there's no magic formula to that. It actually happens over time. The second challenge with having a resolution, and I have some additional material about this. If you've been a long time viewer, you probably know what I'm about to say. We often screw up because we make plans. We say in 2024 or whatever next year is, I plan on being a millionaire. And then we kind of leave it at that. That's not really, number one, that's not really a plan, right? Let's be real about it. But then number two, what happens if there's other things that are along your journey that actually make more sense? Or maybe your millionaire journey doesn't get completed until the year after that. So then December 31st of the following year, are you considering yourself a failure? So that's kind of the challenge with it, is that if you have a plan, then you're like, often we don't actually have the concrete thing. We just say we plan on doing this, number one. And the second part of it is that if we don't hit that particular idealized view, then we feel bad. And then that's going to discourage us from doing it the next time. What makes more sense is, instead of having a plan, to have a strategy. I talked about this in my newsletter today. It's joindamon.me. Comes out every Wednesday at 5:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. So if you're already a member, it's free. But if you're already a member, you already heard me talk about this, where a plan is saying, I'm going to become a millionaire. A strategy is saying, I'm going to show up as much as possible so that money will flow towards me. I'm paraphrasing what I said in the newsletter, but those hit totally differently. A lot of the work that I'm doing as we speak, I'm doing as we speak, and part of the income I'm bringing in to take care of my family and take care of myself, that's based on income sources and relationships and people and even business strategies that I had no idea I was going to be doing a year from now or a year ago. So in December of last year, I had no idea. Some of this stuff I'm all like, well, I better spin this up, as it's in Silicon Valley. I better spin this up because I was not expecting this. But that came from having that fluidity, having a strategy. My strategy was, I want to show up as much as possible for you, for the people that I serve, the side hustlers, the solopreneurs, otherwise non-traditional entrepreneurs, and help them raise their voices and use my platform to do so. A lot of the work that I'm doing now, that I'm starting to make really good money in, that's based on that strategy, but it's being implemented in a totally different way. A plan would be, I'm going to go ahead and make more money doing coaching. Okay, that's fine, but there could be other monies or other avenues out there. It doesn't just apply to money; it can apply to other things too. So keep that in mind. So that's why I'm like, skip the resolution, go for the strategy. If you want to go deeper with this, a great book to start with would be The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I want to say Duhigg. I've said it out loud a couple times, but sorry, Charles, if I'm screwing up your name. Charles Duhigg. One of my favorite books about habit. One of my most memorable things from this book is him talking about having a keystone habit. Now, I'm originally from the East Coast, not too far from Philly. I'm from Atlantic City. So Pennsylvania is called the Keystone State. So I know what a keystone is. You know, a lot of people, all my relatives know what a keystone is, but you might not know. When there's an arch, think about the old school arches. In fact, my alma mater, Northwestern, if you see their logo, that's an arch with a keystone. Anyway, it's a collection of rocks. It's like this, very popular around the industrial age, turn of the century before last, but they've been around for a while. And it's an arch made out of rocks. And you're like, how do they keep the rocks like this before the age of modern day Gorilla Glue and all that? And that's because they put the rocks together and they have a stone right in the middle called a keystone. And that keystone keeps everything balanced. Now, of course, it means the reverse too. If you take the keystone out, all the rocks fall. Charles talks about having a keystone habit, something that grounds everything else and makes everything else easier. I started meditating again every morning. I was a regular meditator literally every morning for decade and a half. I haven't done it as much over the past year. It's been a lot busier at home. You know, I was working with some international clients, and so I'm doing like early morning calls and late night calls. Shout out if you have international clients. Again, I'm based on West Coast time in Las Vegas, so it's like I'm just calling people in Australia and in Eastern Asia, like no lie. And so that just threw off the cycle with everything. I'm starting to get back into that. On my list of things to strategically be better at, it's like I want to be more present as a father. I mean, I've been a stay-at-home dad for 10 years because my kid's 10. My second kid is 7. So I've been involved, trust me. But I also know that I can be more involved, particularly as they get older. They're starting to get into middle school. I want to be more connected with them. So my strategy is to be more connected with them. That's better than a plan. It's more like, no, my strategy is to be present when they're in the room, no matter what's going on with work or other things. Another is to connect more with the business relationships I currently have. And I think I've been doing a great job of that. There's so many of y'all that I've reconnected with, whether it's coaching clients or people that I've done business with. And it's been lovely reconnecting with y'all during this holiday season. That's a strategy. Like I can implement that. I can do that whether money's up, money's down, whether business up, business down. Those two things I talked about, if I meditate every morning, at least for me personally, I can't speak for you, but if I meditate every morning, it calms me the F down. It calms me down. Even like I said, I was a little bit late for our live stream today because I spilled some tea and I had other stuff going on. And there's like 5 different projects I'm working on right now. Imagine how it would be if I didn't meditate. That is a keystone habit. If I meditate, and I usually meditate for just 5 minutes. If I meditate for 5 minutes in the morning, amongst the chaos of my household, again, got 2 little kids, so the chaos of the household and the work needs to be done, and international clients and books I'm launching, all this stuff. If I take 5 minutes out of my day, 35 minutes over the course of a week, just a half hour over the course of a week, everything else becomes easier to implement. That is a keystone habit. That's just one gem. You can tell I got a lot of it because it keep talking about. That's just one gem from this book. It's a fantastic book. I listened to the audiobook while I was walking, probably a handful of years ago. It was fantastic. I need to pull it back out again. I was thinking about y'all with this episode. It's definitely check it out if you haven't checked it out already. Another book that I would recommend is Atomic Habits by James Clear. You probably heard about this in regards to habit setting. I know the book. I've listened to most of the book. I listened to an audiobook form, but I'm more familiar with James speaking because he's been on podcasts as well as his very, very popular blog. And I've been following that, I don't know, since The Bites as Entrepreneur came out, like 2016, 2017, like a long time. Fascinating work. Atomic Habits comes down to this one idea, which I absolutely think is brilliant. If you just concentrate on being 1% better at something every single day, you'll be twice as good by the end of the year, if not more. Let me repeat that. It's really simple. If you concentrate on being 1% better, not 10%, not doubling, blah, 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 1% better every single day throughout the year, by the end of the year, you'll be at least twice as good. That applies to finances, which, as I've talked about, is one of my focuses for this upcoming year. That applies to your relationships, where I've been married for a little while. You have your ups and downs, and sometimes it's like, okay, well, we need to work on this, we need to work on that. But those things don't happen overnight. Again, you're focused on the long game, which we will talk about. But if you're focused on the long game, then you need to be incremental. You can't have overnight success, because overnight success isn't going to be lasting, right? So do you want to have a quick flash in the pan where, you're really going for it the first couple of days of January, and then by February, Valentine's Day or whatever, you're back on your BS, as they say? Or do you want to keep on showing up regularly? That 1% idea just changed my own perspective on things. I tend to be an extremist, which is why, one of the reasons why, with me as a business coach and as I'm coaching y'all, that's why I have a lot of sympathy and empathy. When you want something overnight, I get it. I'm an ambitious mofo, I sure am. But what I learned is that if I really want that thing, and I really want to make an impact on y'all and other people, then I have to come there correct and come there in a way that actually is sustainable, not just a quick fix. Excuse me. If you want to hear more about James Clear's philosophy, definitely grab the book. The link's right there. But also check out Why New Year's Resolutions Fail, Atomic Habits. It's actually one of my first episodes I did. This was almost 3 years ago, and still one of my favorites. And I talk about 2 or 3 really strong points from his book. It's worth checking out if you're kind of struggling with how you're doing what. And of course, what I was alluding to earlier, why plans don't work. See a little poop emoji. See how I feel about that. Why plans, I can't even say it now. Why plans don't work. Do this instead. It is a 4-minute video. It's super short. If I explain the video, it's going to be longer than the video itself. Just check it out. Again, one of my favorites. I want to make sure I hook you guys up, because I know how seriously some of y'all want to improve in the upcoming year. Let's go in and get into it and see what's happening. So, have resolutions worked for you? Are they not working for you? Let me know what's happening in the comments. Again, I'm entrepreneur. Man, I cannot speak today. Entrepreneurial coach Damon Brown. You're watching the Bring Word Show every Wednesday and Sunday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You subscribe for free. Let me know in the comments how you feeling about resolutions. Do you disagree? Agree? What do you think? Let me know what's happening.